Peracetam has been shown to increase cerebral circulation, to improve creativity and verbal fluency, to boost memory, learning and recall, and to improve mood. Peracetam is a water-soluble ampakine nootropic in the racetam class of compounds. It was first synthesized at a Belgium-based pharmaceutical company, UCB Pharma, in 1964. It is considered to be the first true nootropic ever developed. As a cyclic derivative of GABA, Peracetam was first intended to be a calming type of drug for motion sickness, but in spite of its connection to GABA, Peracetam didn't show any behavior associated with this calming neurotransmitter, and it cannot directly affect the GABA receptors. Instead, it was discovered that Peracetam, unlike many of the so-called nootropics, was able to boost cognition even in healthy people. The company launched this new drug as Nootrapil in Europe in the early 70s. The success of Nootrapil soon allowed UCB Pharma to expand its operation, which led to many new pharmaceutical drugs. The term nootropic was made to describe this class of cognition-optimizing compounds. Peracetam is sold as a prescription drug in Europe. In the United States, Peracetam is sold as an over-the-counter supplement. Dozens of racetam derivatives have since been developed based on the original Peracetam. All synthetic compounds, racetams, share pyrrolidone nucleus. Peracetam modulates the AMPA receptors, and it boosts the function of acetylcholine in the brain. A favorite racetam among the nootropics community, people use Peracetam to boost memory and learning. Many users start with Peracetam because it works, is considered safe, and is cheaper than most of the other nootropics in the racetam family. Peracetam is a potent analgesic or anti-pain agent. This analgesic effect is related to the inhibition of inflammatory markers, including interleukin-1 beta, and the prevention of reduced glutathione, ferric reducing ability, and free radical scavenging. Peracetam potentiates the flow of, and it increases the effect of acetylcholine in the brain, and studies show it significantly improves learning and memory. Peracetam potentiates the flow of, and it increases the effects of acetylcholine in the brain, and studies have shown it significantly improves learning and memory. Peracetam increases blood flow in the brain. Better blood flow delivers more oxygen and nutrients to the neurons, improving cognition, memory, and focus. Peracetam is a cyclic derivative of GABA, but oddly enough, it doesn't affect the GABA receptors in the brain. Instead, Peracetam was found to modulate the AMPA and the NMDA receptors and improve the function of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. AMPA and NMDA receptors, along with acetylcholine, are associated with learning and memory, and when Peracetam is stacked with a choline supplement, its effects are even more pronounced. Researchers have shown in hundreds of clinical trials that Peracetam significantly improves learning and memory. Peracetam also increases cerebral blood flow. Blood delivers oxygen and glucose that's needed for cellular metabolism, and helps to carry away cellular waste that's critical for the highly optimized brain. A German study conducted with lab mice showed that Peracetam elevated the NMDA receptor density, and it normalized the way that these receptors worked with L-glutamate, similarly to that of a healthy brain. Deficits at the level of the NMDA receptor could be one of the mechanisms of action that underlies age-related cognitive decline, and researchers concluded that Peracetam showed cognition-enhancing properties. This effect on the NMDA receptor site is directly related to our interest in using Peracetam for long-term potentiation and the support of long-term memory formation. Neuroplasticity is dependent upon the activation of NMDA receptors, and this neuroplasticity is at the heart of memory formation. Reviews of Peracetam used by neurohackers frequently report the return of long-lost memories. Further proof of the efficacy of using Peracetam to support learning and memory. Peracetam increases cerebral blood flow. Several studies have shown how Peracetam positively influences the brain blood flow. Cerebral blood flow is critical for the highly optimized brain. Blood delivers oxygen and glucose that's needed for cellular metabolism, and it helps to carry away cellular waste. Strokes can be caused by an interruption in cerebral blood flow, starving parts of the brain of oxygen and glucose. This double-blind, placebo-controlled study was done with 24 stroke patients. One group received 2,400 milligrams of Peracetam twice a day, and the other group a placebo. Before treatment, both groups were comparable in performance during language tests. The study found that Peracetam improved the recovery of various language functions, and this effect was attributed to increased blood circulation to areas of the brain that were related to language. The placebo group showed very little improvement in the areas of language. As we get older, our brain chemistry and our metabolism changes, and it seems these changes are affecting younger and younger people. There's a decrease in recall, reaction time, and learning capacity. ATP energy levels decline. Density of the AMPA and the NMDA receptors decline. Acetylcholine level declines, and cerebral blood flow also declines. All of these changes are contributing factors to age-related cognitive decline. Early signs of these effects can be seen in poor decision-making, difficulty learning, and even recalling simple things like an important appointment. Peracetam helps to increase the blood flow in the brain. It improves oxygen levels. It enhances glucose use in the brain cells. It maintains brain cell mitochondria in ATP synthesis. The Peracetam improves the brain blood flow. It's also a potent modulator of AMPA-sensitive glutamate receptors in the neurons. It increases the density of specific binding sites for AMPA in neuronal synapses, and this can lead to a long-term increase in IQ, even after discontinuation of the Peracetam. Glutamate is the primary excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain. This glutamate activity by Peracetam affects alertness, focus, attention, memory, and learning. And one of the reasons why neurohackers consistently report that Peracetam improves mental performance and memory. Peracetam increases high-affinity choline uptake, which is the process that occurs in cholinergic nerve endings, and it facilitates acetylcholine formation. Boosting acetylcholine with Peracetam produces a powerful effect on learning and memory. Peracetam also boosts choline receptor density in the frontal cortex, the area of the brain that's used for working memory and decision-making. ATP energy is critical to your brain's survival. Brain cells must produce all of their own ATP from glucose and oxygen. This brain energy carbohydrate metabolism depends on cerebral blood flow, oxygen uptake, and glucose. Peracetam enhances this glucose utilization, and it increases ATP synthesis that's needed to power brain cells' mitochondria. And Peracetam has analgesic or anti-pain benefits. This anti-pain action is linked to Peracetam's anti-inflammatory properties. Inflammation can cause pain, and studies have shown Peracetam can have profound effects on pain. Peracetam boosts acetylcholine transmission, so you should add a good precursor choline source to your diet when taking Peracetam, like alpha-glycerophosphcholine or CDP choline. Most users report a noticeable benefit from Peracetam after about 2 weeks. Consider that Peracetam is modulating your brain's chemistry, and this change is unlikely to occur immediately. Your brain needs some time to adjust to the new changes in acetylcholine levels and how it uses it. Increased cerebral blood flow takes a while to bring up the levels of oxygen and the nutrients, and for your neuronal cells to respond. Your mileage may vary depending on your own neurochemical makeup. Many suggest starting with an attack dose for the first 3 days. A 3000 mg attack dose of Peracetam, for example, to start, will theoretically get more of the supplement into your system right away, so that it takes less time to build up before you start to feel the benefits. From there, step down to a maintenance dose and vary the quantity until you find your own sweet spot. Once you begin to notice the effects of Peracetam, you'll likely feel a mood boost, less social anxiety, heightened creativity, improved verbal fluency, and better memory. Peracetam reduces social anxiety. There's plenty of evidence that Peracetam improves memory in animals and people who are suffering from many types of cognitive impairment. Keep in mind that most of the scientific research available for nootropics is done with sick people who are trying to get well. The return on investment for research at institutions and universities comes from treating diseases and not from helping ordinary biohackers try to get a competitive advantage at work or school. We can, however, extrapolate the findings from the studies and learn if and how something like Peracetam can help our memory and our cognition. Once in a while, someone does take the time to conduct a study on healthy people. Researchers gave a healthy group of participants 1,600 mg of Peracetam 3 times per day for a 4,800 mg total dose for 2 weeks. No effects on memory were observed after 7 days during the experiment, but after 14 days, verbal learning had significantly increased. Researchers in Belgium, where Peracetam originated, conducted an analysis of 19 double-blind, placebo-controlled studies done with patients who were suffering from dementia or cognitive impairment and who took Peracetam. The results of this meta-analysis demonstrated the difference between people who used Peracetam or who used a placebo. The end results of the analysis provided compelling evidence for the usefulness of Peracetam in a diverse group of people with cognitive impairment. Several studies and user reviews have shown that Peracetam doses make a difference, and unlike some other nootropics where you start at a lower dose and work your way up, with Peracetam they recommend that you start at a higher dose. A study in Germany with 78 healthy elderly patients showed there was a significant difference in cognition improvements while dosing Peracetam at 1,600 mg 3 times per day. There was no difference in cognition with patients who received 800 mg 3 times per day, so the dose matters when using Peracetam. Peracetam is used around the world to treat cognitive impairments in aging, brain injuries, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. Several studies show that Peracetam enhances ATP production, mitochondrial membranes, and neurite outgrowth in the neurons. In this study, scientists investigated the effects of Peracetam on mitochondrial function. Human brain cells were treated with Peracetam under normal conditions and under conditions imitating aging and damage by reactive oxygen species, and with cells representing early-stage Alzheimer's disease. The cells representing the Alzheimer's conditions showed impaired mitochondrial function under baseline conditions. The Peracetam was able to restore this impairment in the cells and shift the mitochondrial function back to normal. Recommended Peracetam dose is 1,600 mg 3 times per day. 1 Peracetam dose in the morning and 1 in the early afternoon and 1 later in the afternoon. Dosing Peracetam can vary widely between users. Many find a small dose of Peracetam boosts the benefits and reduces the side effects of other racetams, therefore they use it as a base nootropic along with their preferred choline source. Users also report when stopping after years of daily use, they actually have improvements in their brain and their ability to function, and they've made permanent improvements. This could imply that most individuals have already accrued some form of brain injury or impairment, and the Peracetam is fixing their problems over time. Peracetam is non-toxic, so it's considered well tolerated and safe. As with many other racetams, piracetam can cause headaches because it boosts the use of acetylcholine in the brain. So choline supplements like alpha-glycerylphosphocholine or CDP-choline can help you to avoid this side effect by providing the necessary precursors. Peracetam is especially helpful for those who are suffering from most types of age-related cognitive decline. Peracetam is also particularly useful to students and to executives who want to boost cognition, learning, and memory. You should use peracetam with a good choline supplement like alpha-glycerylphosphocholine or CDP-choline. This helps to boost the neural acetylcholine, so it demands the presence of more choline in the brain. The brain can further be boosted when choline is combined with omega-3, EPA, and DHA, and with uridine. This combination has been proven to increase synaptic connections, which would synergize with the peracetam. Lion's mane mushroom also increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and this can synergize with this combination. Some boost the daily intake of peracetam to 9,600 milligrams if needed. Studies have shown that peracetam is completely non-toxic even at high doses. You may find, however, that a lower dose than recommended works better for you. For more information about herbs, supplements, and natural treatment plans, check out my website.